our speaker is waiting in the wings, to use a film terminology. And let me tell you a little bit about who he is. Some of you may have heard him. He's spoken to Launchpad before, several years ago, but we are quite honored and fortunate to have him in our midst. Scott Carley, AKA the Change Energizer. We all need that. His presentation is called Awakening the Giant Within. You have superpower and you're going to need a cape. So there you go. There is a reason they call him the Change Energizer. Scott has the energy and the knowledge to get big achievements across the finish line. He takes a proactive and innovative approach to problem solving, overcoming obstacles, and conquering failures. So we all need that. With his emphasis on taking action, Scott helps organizations achieve objectives and increase productivity. A longtime certified, is it Vistage speaker? He'll correct me when we get
That's correct.
All right, Vistage speaker and trusted advisor. He has spoken nationally to thousands of CEOs and key leaders. He is a two-term president of the Austin chapter of National Speakers Association. He is also a two-term board member of the National Chapter Leadership Council of NSA, currently the chair for the NSA Chapter Leadership Institute that prepares presidents-elect for their new position. He has rallied presenters to innovate with new tools during the COVID-19 pandemic, exemplifying once again that he knows how to practice what he preaches. He has traveled to over 350 cities stateside and from Australia to Europe as a keynote speaker. His top clients include Wells Fargo, Dell, NYL, and travel and tourism industry. Clients love his clear approach to problem solving and how he creates a breath of fresh air that energizes and uplifts. As I said, we are lucky to have him in our midst. Let's give a very warm welcome to Scott Carley.
Oh, my word. Thank you, Kathy and Shannon. It's so good to be here today. I love Launchpad and job seekers. I've spoken in this arena several times, and I love it because I can remember when I made an unpredicted career change. And man, it was a huge awakening, and I had to make some just big changes for me in my life, but it worked out. I had a lot of help, and most of the help that I had was with making sure that my attitude was good. But I want to share with some things today that were game changers for me. I was president of the National Speakers Association at the time, and we're speakers. Mm-hmm. And this is not the way we were accustomed to speaking. We were on stages and in front of groups, and whether it was training, workshops, facilitation, whatever it was. And when COVID-19 hit, as the president of the Austin chapter, in May of that year, we had to completely transition to virtual technology. And most of us didn't know how to do that. Learning how to speak to a camera and not necessarily be able to see our audience. My God, that was a big change. But we found people that were able to help us. Mike Barnes had recently joined our chapter of the National Speakers Association, and he had 30 years experience as a broadcaster. And he was recently released from his job. And so he was looking about getting into the speaking industry, and he came to our chapter at exactly the right time. And we helped him launch a national program about how to be a virtual speaker. And he educated our group of speakers here in Austin, professional speakers. And boy, we had to learn how to do videos on camera, and it was incredible. So there's a lot of things that when they happen to you, you just have to figure out what is the good thing that came out of this. Well, today I really want to dive into something that I have seen so many times. It has happened to me, and that is awaken the giant within you. Sometimes when we go through career shifts or job shifts and changes, it really messes with our head. It messes with our sense of identity and our ability to recognize what we're naturally gifted in. And so, I want to address that. I found an amazing tool that was a game changer for me personally, and I'm going to share that with you today. But I want you to look on the screen at some giants that are here. I mean, Jeff Bezos, Amazon. Oh my God, the guy just has created an incredible organization. You may have a love-hate relationship with him if you worked for him at one time and you don't now, but doesn't matter. The guy is a giant. And up in Waco, I mean, they have done just an incredible job of the rebuilding houses and renovations. And then on the right, you may or may not know who Mary Barra is. She graduated from college. Actually, she was in the process of graduating from college and took a job at General Motors in the accounting department. And she learned about accounting, and she just had a drive inside of her. And over a 20-year period, she rose to the top. And today she is the CEO of General Motors. And she's the one that's in a race with Elon Musk about the electric motor industry. The guy in the middle, I mean, Albert Einstein, the guy's a giant. He has changed our world through his discoveries and his innovation. Steve Jobs there down on the right. I mean, we're watching, we're doing all of this because of many of his inventions, his creativity, his ability to think out of the box and do things. And he himself, was released as CEO from his company, and then eventually came back to pull it up. Oprah Winfrey. I mean, who doesn't know Oprah Winfrey? And she is a person with passion for relationships. She has affected so many people, have helped so many people, just giants. I mean, and all of us recognize those people. They're giants. And then there's Dave. And Dave is a giant too. And I'm going to talk to you about his story today. Because Dave was a 23-year veteran in the robotics technology industry. He traveled all over this country, going into companies for his company and just doing major technical robotic repairs. And then suddenly it was over. And after 23 years, he got a pink slip and he didn't have a job. And we're going to talk about people like Dave, people like you, and some tools that they use to help get them back on their feet. So here's something that I want you to really understand, and that is how the world sees you. Now, the tool that I'm going to talk to you about today is called How You Fascinate. And it is a fascination personality profile that was developed by a lady by the name of Sally Hogshead. And it was based on branding, based on how the world sees you. Not necessarily how you see yourself, but how the world sees you in your naturally gifted abilities. You ever wanted to know what people were thinking about you? Have you ever wished you could, peel back their forehead and say, okay, what are you thinking? You're looking at me. What are you thinking? What do you think I am? I've always wanted to know what people thought about me. And you're going to find out. You're going to find out a lot about that today. And so let me tell you a couple of major things about how the world sees you. Number one, they see you individually as a gifted subject matter expert. They see you as somebody who, when you walk into the room, and I'm, you've got a cape on. And when you walk into the room, they see you as somebody who is naturally gifted in some specific areas. And when you walk in, they say, oh my God, thank God they're here, because we were searching for answers and now they're here. And oh, thank God, they're going to be able to help us figure it out. They see you with a cape on, naturally gifted in things they are not naturally gifted in. They also see you as an unstoppable team of problem solvers. When you are a part of an organization, a board or a company or an internal team, and you can come in as somebody who understands what your natural giftings are and what your professional giftings are. And when you walk in together and can communicate and solve specific problems as a team, you become unstoppable. You become a group of people that a company, a group can depend on to get things done and make things happen. So you may be thinking about times when you were a part of a team just like that. And I have. I can think of times when I've been a part of a really powerful, functioning team. When I was the area director for Business Network International in the Central Texas region, when we got the district handed to us, it was in shambles. But over a 3-year period, Bill and the rest of our team took it to the top 2% worldwide. Didn't do it as an individual, we did it as a team. And we knew what each person could do to bring that and make it happen. So that's you. You're either an individual and you are gifted individually as a subject matter expert, and you're a part of a team. So keep that in mind. Anytime you go to visit with somebody who is a prospective employer, keep that in mind. They're looking for a team member and you're it. They're looking for a subject matter expert and you're it. Keep that in your head. Sally did some research about teams, and my research is just being out there and working with teams. And here's what I found. The state of the workforce on the left-hand side, 52% of people, they're not engaged. They're just showing up. They're drowsing. My wife works at a place, and the person in the cubicle right next to her, he's got headphones on during the day, and he's singing, by the way, off key. He's singing and talking, and he is so not engaged in his work. That's 52% of the workforce. 20% are actively disengaged. I mean, they're planning not to be engaged in their work. But here's what they also found, is that employees who are engaged, who understand what they bring to the table, they can be up to 202% more effective because of engagement. It's just incredible. So there's a lot to be gained by recognizing what you bring to the table and what you can do. So there's 3 things that we all have to deal with. Monsters that you face. So I can remember, I grew up in West Texas, Midland, and in Midland, the wind blows all the time. And I mean, when the wind is at 40 miles an hour, that's normal to us. That's the way we grew up. But against the window that was in my bedroom, there was a grapevine, a lattice that had, what's that? Grapes and other stuff. And when the wind would blow at night, those leaves would move against the screen. And I knew that outside of my bedroom or under my bed was a monster trying to get at me. And I could sleep. I mean, I was always terrified. Well, here's the deal. I grew out of that, thank God. But when we're released from a job and we're back into the job search market, wow, there's monsters that show up. Monsters that we emotionally and mentally have to deal with. And here's the first one, distraction. Distraction. There's a lot of distraction going on right now in the world. I don't know if you've heard that there's a war in Ukraine. North Korea just exploded an underwater drone explosion. China and Russia are merging together to figure out if they want to put a stop to what America's doing. I mean, there's so much distraction. Last week was spring break, and so I have to prospect for jobs. I mean, I'm looking for a job every day because I'm self-employed, and so I was reaching out to a bunch of people, and it hit me. Oh man, this is spring break. Nobody's going to be home. Nobody's going to be in the office. Why should I even try to call? Why should I even send out some emails? It's spring break. That's called a distraction. And if you buy into that, then what happens is a distraction won out. So I didn't do that. Instead, I sent out my emails And I did make my phone calls, and I did talk to some people, had some really incredible conversations. And I'm really thankful to say I booked 3 or 4 workshops. That's a great deal because that's what puts food on my table. So distractions. What distractions are you letting keep you from working on job search? They're out there. That's a monster you face. The second one is competition. Oh my word. Competition's not going away. As long as we're in a capitalistic society, we're going to have competition. Competition is good. You know where the best place to open a brand new car dealership? Right next door to an existing car dealership because of the competition. Competition is never ending. And sometimes we just need to realize that. I'm going to show you some things today that will wipe the competition away. Right now, you're putting your resume and it's just stacked electronically or actually one on top of another. There may be 75 resumes that you're competing with when you're trying to get a job anywhere. I want to show you a way. I want to show you what Dave did to move his to the top. And it made a huge difference. It'll make a huge difference for you too. That's a monster. We face that monster. Man, having to be better, having to be more educated, right on the edge, everything that whatever somebody else has got, we've got to be better. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. The third thing is commoditization. Commoditization is where whatever we do is commoditized. And that means that instead of becoming somebody who is unique and different and has an edge on the market, now you're just a number. You're just a number. You're just a skill set, and you're like everybody else who has a degree in a certain thing and maybe a few years in a certain thing, and it's commoditized. And there's nothing to really distinguish you. You don't want to get to that place. You don't want to just be another applicant, just another person, just somebody who showed up, just somebody who filled an appointment, just somebody in a time slot. That never works. But you know what? We feel that way. We feel that way. And if we're not careful, we'll obsess on it. And when you obsess on it, it just gets worse. So let's not do that. You know, when Dave lost his job, Dave was terrified. 23 years as a robotics technician, worked in the field. He was really good at what he did. He had an understanding of the electric technology that was in the robotics that he worked on. And he was one of just 2 people in his company that could get the job done. But he got let go. He got a pink slip. He didn't know what to do. And when he started talking to me, he said, I mean, he's sweating bullets. And he said, Scott, I don't know what to do. I haven't had a resume in 23 years. I don't even know what a resume looks like. I'll go online and find something. And he didn't know about Launchpad. I told him about it. He didn't know about Launchpad and some of the others. And he said, where do I start? I don't even know what other companies are out there. You know, I've been so in a box in my company and working for the man, and I don't even know where to go from here. And so he was terrified. And he finally figured out a few companies to reach out to, and he started reaching out to them and putting in his resume, and the phone wasn't ringing. Nobody was talking to him. He was getting pretty frustrated. And I don't know if there's anybody on this that has had that same experience, but that was his experience. Now, what if you discovered? What if you discovered? David did discover it, and I discovered it a few years ago. What if you discovered that you had a natural personality trait that made you stand out from everybody else? That because of something that is naturally gifted to you, you didn't have to learn it somewhere. You didn't have to go to school to get an education for it. You had a naturally gifted personality trait that distinguished you from everybody else in the room. And and you had a reputation for it. Unknown or known, you had a reputation. People already knew that it was there. It made you stand out. It was a naturally gifted trait that helped you to solve specific problems. There were certain things that you could look at and you just naturally, oh, I can help you with that. It's this, it's that, it's the other. You're just naturally gifted at it. I have one of those, and it's called innovation. I'm naturally gifted at innovation and being able to come up with new ideas and a different way to look at something and a way to solve a specific problem. And you know, we've tried this. Let's get out of the box and think about this over here. I'm naturally gifted at that. I could do it blindfolded with my hands tied behind my back. It's a natural gifting. You have natural giftings too. You may not recognize them. Let's awaken that giant that's inside of you and get them outside. It also helps you to attract your ideal team connections. You know, there's some places I don't fit. Oh my God. There are some places I don't fit, and I just don't, and I'm okay with that now. But there are other places that I do fit, and people that are attracted to me, and I am attracted to them. And when we get together, we can make the magic happen. We can make great things happen. I want to show you how you can find out what yours is, because you have it. You don't have to work for it. It's already there. So the fascination profile, that's what I'm talking about, is the neurological discovery of 7 personality traits that trigger the human brain to be fascinated in the way you communicate and conduct business. I mean, when you get into your zone, your naturally gifted fascination zone, whether it's innovation or power or passion and relationships, whatever it is, when you get into that zone, man, you're unstoppable. After a decade of focused branding research with over 250,000 participants, this is back in like 2005. Let me stop. You may have heard of the DISC profile. Now, I took the DISC profile years ago. And it's pretty helpful. It's got 4 areas that measure some things about your personality traits, and it's pretty good. The research behind the DISC profile is 100 years old. Do you think maybe we've discovered some things in the last 100 years? I do. Sally found this out in 2005 through 2009 in the research that she did. She uncovered the recipe of neurology, that's up here, neurology in your brain. Linguistics, that's your speech, your vocabulary. Biological, that's your body, the chemistries that are going on inside of you. And anthropology, that is your heritage, your history, your culture. Sally uncovered the recipe of neurology, linguistics, and biological anthropology to understand how the world sees you as a unique signature professional. And she made a personality profile out of it. And it has been unstoppable. I've given over 175 of these in the last 2 years and have watched people come out of their shell, awaken the giant within, and be able to move further in their business and in their family life and in their ambitions. I want to see that happen for you too. So fascination, that's what she calls it, how to fascinate. And she came from the word. Now, I'm sure you noticed that's friends. And have you ever seen people that are just captivated? They're just fascinated by what somebody is saying, and they're just, I mean, their eyes are locked and they're just talking, well, or listening. Well, that's what happens when you get into your naturally gifted area and you start doing your thing. Fascination is an intense focus. When you fascinate your listeners, they are more likely to connect with you and remember you. I mean, you got them. You get into your zone and you're just doing your thing. Maybe it's Mystique, and you're just listening and you're pondering everything that they're saying, and they're wondering, how come she's not saying anything? And then finally you do open your mouth, and this wealth of understanding and knowledge comes out, and they're going, oh my God, man, that wisdom runs deep and quiet. Yeah, that's what that's all about. That may be one of yours. So let me share with you the 7 personality advantage that Sally discovered, that she recognized. There are 7 of them. You have all 7. We all have all 7. But there are 1 or 2 that are very high, and they distinguish you from everybody else. So let's talk about them. The first one is innovation. Okay, man, when I walk in and I put on my cape of innovation, innovation is the language of creativity. That's me. That's my number 1 fascination advantage, innovation. And if you look at the adjectives below, it's a key point. Key point. When you put your resume out, if you discover that innovation is what you are, you need to use the words, the adjectives, creative, visionary, entrepreneurial, because they communicate who you naturally are gifted to be. That's me. So innovation. I bring creativity into the world. Innovation personalities are unconventional thinkers who generate ideas that earn attention. I do it by mistake. I mean, when I walk in and I'm looking around, I'll say, hey, we could do it this way. Well, why don't we move this over here? I've got an idea. It's just natural. It comes to me. I don't have to work at it. It's just who I am. By strategically applying my talent, their talent for creativity, they quickly solve problems with fresh and inventive solutions. You know, people hire me because they're stuck and they want me to put my cape on and come out and show them how to get unstuck and move forward. For somebody that's listening to me right now, that is your gift. Your gift is innovation. You're creative. You got all these ideas. And it could be that you're like somebody like Jeff Bezos, RuPaul, Frank Lloyd Wright, Lady Gaga, Thomas Edison. Lady Gaga, I want to talk about her for a minute. I mean, I don't know how much you remember about her, but I was there around when she came on to one of the, maybe it was a Tonight Show or something. This has been maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And she was dressed in fresh cut meat. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you're weird. What are you doing? And she just did these outlandish things to be innovative, but she didn't quit. She stayed the course. Eventually she calmed down a little bit and she dresses a little bit better now, but she has been an incredible success because innovation is just constantly going on in her head. Innovation. Maybe you have innovation. Maybe that's your gift. All right, let's go to the next one. Passion. Passion is relational IQ. These are the people that just get along with people. They are people. They're expressive, intuitive, and engaging. So how can I recognize somebody who has a natural gift of passion or relation building? Well, it's easy. Go to any room and see who is standing around everybody. And if there's one person and 5 or 6 people are standing around listening, talking, that person has passion. They have relational IQ. They are great at building relationships with other people. They connect with emotion. Passion personalities rapidly make emotional connections with others. They are approachable with an unintimidating style. They're easy to make friends with. People like to be around them. They like to go do things with them. Their exuberance and honest emotions make them effective presenters of ideas and information. So if somebody is looking for a presenter who needs to sell some things to people, build some relationships and connections, if passion is one of your natural gifts, you could get that job real easy because it's just natural. So the next one, leaders who have passion. Sally Hogshead, she wrote the book. Justin Trudeau, Oprah Winfrey, Stephen Covey, Wolfgang Puck, Angelina Jolie. These are people that connect with emotions. And it could be you're just like them. We'll find out. The next one is power. Take action leadership. These are people that are confident. Notice the adjectives down below. They're confident, goal-oriented, decisive. I mean, they're just leaders. So that's my second one. Power. Power is I lead. And these are the people that if you need somebody to spearhead a program, they're the people to call on. Power personalities are natural leaders who are driven to identify goals and attain them. Notoriously high achievers, they are self-assured individuals who earn the respect of their coworkers, customers, families, and peers. So I'll tell you how this shows up for me. That's my number 2, and it's pretty high up there. So I live in a blended family. And my wife and I got married 7 years ago. She has 3 kids. I have 2 kids, and our kids are grown. But her kids, who didn't know me, said, he is so bossy. I mean, he is just so bossy. He's always telling us what to do. Well, they are not accustomed to be around that at all. So I have to turn down my bossiness, my power, my decisive make a decision when I'm interacting with my family because I know what it does to them. But on the other hand, people hire me to take the lead. Scott, spearhead this thing, make it happen. One of you, power is your thing. You're a leader, and they need to know that. Who's like that? Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, Angela Merkel, Warren Buffett, Michael Bloomberg. I mean, the list is endless. There's some great leaders out there. Put one of those icons on your shoulder and say, hey, I'm the giant just like them. Next, prestige. I think prestige is really cool. My wife, that is her number 1, prestige. It is a high bar of excellence. I mean, when she comes in, she puts on this cape of prestige, and this is what it sounds like. Honey, we need to repaint the living room. Sweetheart, we need to get out there and do a better job on the yard. Let's trim those hedges a little bit. And at her work, she dresses nicer than anybody else in her area. And the CEO, actually, it was a person in charge of HR, came to her, this is 2,300 employees, and said, Carol, we need you to do something. I've noticed your cape, that prestige, high bar of excellence. You're ambitious, results-oriented, respected. I need you to lead the program of excellence for our employees. It's a new position we've opened up, and you're going to be it. I want you to help our employees raise the bar of excellence in what they do and how they contribute. And she has, because it's what she's naturally gifted to do. Prestige sets the standard. Prestige personalities instinctively seek consistent improvement, higher goals, tangible evidence of their success. They are motivated by clear rewards and the respect of their peers. Is that you? Is prestige your naturally gifted personality? If I walk into your kitchen, if I get in your car, if I come to your living room and it is clean as can be, and everything is in its place, and oh my God, prestige is more than likely what you're naturally gifted in, because that's one of the telltale signs of it. Leaders who use prestige: Elon Musk, Aubrey Hepburn, George Clooney, Vera Wang, James Bond, Gordon Ramsay, and Hell's Kitchen. Prestige. That's a gift. It's powerful. All right, trust. Trust is about stability in turmoil. There's some people who you're just naturally gifted with that. And when things are just going crazy, there's chaos here and stuff happening over there, you're just calm as can be because you are stable, dependable, and familiar. You're predictable. You're not shaken with all the stuff that's going on. And many companies in the chaotic times that we have need a trust person to bring stability in the turmoil. You build loyalty. Trust personalities provide normalcy and comfort in chaotic environments. Do people ever come into your office, or people ever talk to you and say, can I just talk to you a little bit? I just need to calm down. And you just have a way of helping me to calm down about what's going on. You're that person. You provide normalcy and comfort when things are chaotic. You carefully pay attention to detail, reinforcing consistency between expectations they set and the results that they deliver. My daughter is an engineer. And when she got out of college, she went to work for a company. Oh my God. I'm so happy she survived that first year. But it was time for her to get a bigger job, a better job at an international company. And so she started going to knock on doors. She was very timid. It was a big challenge. She took the fascination profile, and in it, we discovered that trust was one of her major fascination advantages. And so she stapled her personality advantage to the top of her resume and gave it to them. She got a call back for the next round and the second round and the third round, and she got hired. And she asked, what was it that made you hire me? Was it my GPA? I'm sorry, it wasn't your GPA. Was it your, what made the decision? Well, I noticed that trust was one of your advantages. And that's what we need here. We need stability in this company. We don't need to be doing this. We need stability. And that really resonated with us above all the other resumes. That's right. Makes a big deal. Who's she like? Mahatma Gandhi, Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep, Pope Francis. Do you know who John Wayne is? Yeah, these are people who are naturally gifted in trust. Okay, we're just about finished. We only have a couple left, so hang tight with me. Mystique. Mystique are the people who do intentional listening. These are the people that aren't saying much. Some of you're not saying much, but you're listening to every word that I'm saying. You're independent, you're logical, and you're very observant. You can look around the room, you can look at a situation, and you are picking up 10 times more information than anybody else. And your brain is just pulling all that stuff in, and you're thinking it through and figuring it out, and you're just pondering it. Mystique. Mystique are really important because they are the people you can bounce ideas off of, and they will listen and then give you incredible feedback. You communicate carefully. Mystique personalities filter what they communicate. They don't just say whatever comes to their head. They thoughtfully edit their ideas and opinions, selectively choosing what to reveal and share. In poker, we would say they hold their cards to their chest and they don't say much. Because they don't over-communicate, they avoid sending distracting signals, making each detail more influential. Mystique personalities. I've got a client who is a private investigator. He's highly educated. As a matter of fact, one of his high points of education is forensics. And Mark, he just understands forensics. He understands it so well that he is often called as an expert witness in court. He goes into court and he just sits there with that stone face. And a prosecutor will come up and will try to edge him to say something, and the defense witness will come up or attorney will come up and try to get him to say something, and he just cool as a cucumber, but he will methodically tell what forensics discovered and what came up. And that's why people hire him, because he's not swayed by the emotion of what's going on in the courtroom. He's swayed by what he found. Maybe that's you. Maybe you're the person who you just look at the facts There used to be a TV show, Just the Facts, man. That's all I want to know. I just, what was his name? Joe, Just the Facts, man. Yeah, maybe that's you. Who is that? J.K. Rowling? Johnny Depp? Clint Eastwood? Yeah, go ahead. Make my day. Jackie O, Dalai Lama, Joaquin Phoenix. These are people that are mystique. And they don't talk a lot, but when they do, they usually have something to say. All right. Let me tell you a little bit about them. There's a little bit additional stuff I can share with you here. Mystique, how you fascinate. You carefully select what to reveal. How you operate. You reserve communication for the best and highest use. You're not sending out tons of emails. You're not holding long conversations. How you communicate. You listen and carefully observe. How you lead. You maintain a professional distance at all times. How you manage your time, more focused than other types. You spend less time socializing and avoid distractions. How you make decisions. You usually don't jump to conclusions, but you take time to research. I want to find out more about this. And you may not say that, but in your head, that's what you're thinking. And how you plan, your premeditated statements can be perceived as high caliber. Yeah, that's mystique. All right, alert. This is the last one. Alert. This is attention to details. You are proactive, organized, detailed. I am not alert. What we call my dormant value, the area that I'm least gifted in, is alert. What that means is if you give me an Excel spreadsheet and say, hey, Scott, man, take a look at this and look at the numbers and the figures and the formulas and how this all works out, I'm going to get lost really quick. That is not my gift. But it is my wife's. Hers is prestige and alert. And if somebody says, hey, we need to fill out this very detailed document, and I'm not your guy, but she is. And she's the person that I can get to take care of those things. Maybe alert is what you are. Attention to detail is your thing. You are the person who protects details. So I'm innovation. Man, I come up with a new idea and a new way to do things, and then I can partner with my wife who is attention to detail, and we can get all the details about how to make it work and how to make it happen and fill in all the blanks. You earn influence by watching the details in order to protect your beliefs with your natural alert advantage. You're organized and proactive with a keen ability to manage even the most complex projects. Your risk-averse attitude helps you to avoid mistakes. So I'm risky. Alert is risk-averse. That's really important. I mean, there's in construction companies, there's a Gantt chart. And the Gantt chart outlines every detail of a project and sequentially how the thing is going to come together and work it out. I've used a lot of those, but it's not my strength. But it would be the strength of you. Maybe alert is your thing. So who has that? Anderson Cooper, Ruth Bader Gingrich, David Allen, Chuck Norris, Paul Revere, Howard Hughes, all of those alert, attention to details for what made them so successful. Now I've shown you a lot of information. And, just in a really quick way, I've tried to give you an education about the seven different personality fascination advantages that Sally Hogshead discovered. And if you look on the chart, you'll see it: innovation, passion, power, prestige, trust, mystique, alert. And so here's how this little chart works. I do understand this one. The way this chart works is on the left-hand side would be your number one primary advantage. When you take the profile, it will tell you what your number one is. This is it. This is your number one. It's one of those seven. And then it will identify the second one, the second highest out of 7. What is the second highest? And that's across the top. And so, for instance, if you look at me, innovation was my number 1. That's my number 1 gifting. So we move across the top till we get to power. And power was my number 2. And so this creates an archetype or a nickname when you combine innovation and with power. And for me, it's the maverick leader. Pioneering, irreverent, and entrepreneurial. That's me. That's who I am. And I've always kind of known that, but I never had permission to say that about myself. But when I walk into the room of any people that know me, in just a little bit, innovation is just there. And if they need some leadership, if nobody else is speaking up, I'm going to speak up. The maverick leader. And we did some work on that, and one of the Fascination coaches helped me with that. And that's where the Change Energizer came from. The Change Energizer is my personal anthem of the maverick leader. And when I adopted that brand, and when I printed these t-shirts and started walking around town, everybody said, that is you, Scott Carley. But what about you? Where do you fit on this chart? What is your archetype? What is your fascination nickname? I'm going to show you how to find out. I'm going to give you a free tool, a free access to this so that you can figure out what yours is. And when you do, you're going to get something like this. It'll show you your primary advantage is passion, secondary is innovation. That was for me. Well, that's somebody else's actually. And then your dormant. Your dormant is really what that means is your least gifted area. So if somebody tried to hire me to do details, they're going to be really disappointed because alert, attention to details is my dormant. It's my least gifted advantage. That's kind of a big deal. I don't want to be hired to do that. And now I know that. Now I know if somebody asked me to do that. As a matter of fact, when I joined my board, I was president of the National Speakers Association. When I had our first board meeting, I told them, I said, so here's the deal. I'm your visionary and I've got some direction. We're going to lead us into some new areas. You know, COVID is here. We're going to do some really great things, but don't hand me an expense report and ask me to fill it out. I have some people that I will will fill that out for me. Don't ask me to do it because those details are not something that I'm good at. And so I'm going to put somebody on my board who is good at it. And as a result, had some really incredible things happen for the next 2 years in our presidency. Now, you may be sitting there saying, well, great, Scott, I got all these superpowers. Now what am I supposed to do? You know, I recognize a couple of those things that I'm gifted at. Well, great. So what does that do for me? I mean, what am I going to walk up to somebody and tell them that I've got this? Well, sort of. I like the little thing here. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. I want to teach you how to put on your cape. You have superpowers. You have a giant inside of you, and you're going to need a cape. You're going to need a way to let the world know who you are and what you have to offer specifically. So I went to New Orleans. I was invited to New Orleans. And there's a construction company there, Chris Combs. And he said, I want you to take our whole staff, our office staff. There were, I think, 11 people through the Fascination Profile. And I want you to let us figure out who we are. So we did. Chris Combs, he was, his passion and innovation are his top 2 primary adjectives. And if you notice, those adjectives across the top, out of the box, social, energizing, enthusiastic, creative. He's the catalyst. That's Chris. Well, now everybody in the room has words to put on what they already sort of knew. And now in this coat of arms, we can see who Chris is really like, what he brings to the table, besides whatever his professional degrees are about. And then we bring in Thomas. Thomas was one of his project managers. Thomas, his is mystique and innovation. Ooh, he is a listener, but he's creative. He's nimble, unassuming, independent, reticent, autonomously creative. So what if you knew that you have somebody on your team that has that skill set? Or what if that's your skill set and you bring it to the table? Wouldn't you like to be able to give this to an employer that's looking for somebody to fill that job? You can. Rebecca, hers was power. She's a decision maker, man. She's a decision maker and alert, attention to detail. Everybody needs somebody like that in your on your board and on your staff. And then there was Nicole. Hers was passion. She was a relationship person, innovation, creativity. She was an out of the box thinker, social, energizing, enthusiastic. So now we know what these people are. And now they know what they are. Jeffrey, he was another project manager. Linda worked in the office. Katie was out front. And Brandon was another project manager, trust and prestige. So now I've got all these people and I know who they are. And so when we sit down at the table and we bring all these people together on a team, now we have the 7 personality characteristics that can take care of the problems and the issues that we come up with. A Fascination team outperforms by 202%. That's you. That's you. You're the person that's going to be put on a team. And when you're on that team, this is what you can do for them. I'm telling you, every organization that I lead now, right now, I support 3 chapters of the National Speakers Association around the country. I'm involved in the 36 chapters of the National Speakers Association, and I take the leaders through this because I want them to know who they are, the giants that are in them, and I want to know who they are so that we can get things done in a powerful and a positive way. So here's the final thing about this. Different is better than better. When you can distinguish yourself from everybody else, you've got an advantage. Being different is better than just being better. So let me wrap up the story with Dave. I went over to Dave's house and he was freaking out. He said, I don't know what I'm going to do, man. It's been 23 years since I had to put a resume together. I just don't know what to do. And I said, Dave, I know you. I know you. I haven't known you for a long time, but I know you. You're gifted. You've got giants inside of you. And we just need to get them out there. We need to be able to listen to this. We need to be able to put them into words. That's a big deal. You may know you have something, but to be able to put that into words that you can communicate and other people can understand. And I said, so I'm gonna take you through this profile. I gave him the link, just like I'm gonna give you a link. And the one I'm giving to you will only identify your primary. The one I gave to him cost some more. It identified all 7, gave him a report. And he went through that report and I gave him a day or 2 to look at it and look at some of the videos that were associated with it. And so we got back together and he said, I think I understand a little of this, but help me understand it. So I walked him through maybe an hour and a half, 90 minutes. We just walked through it and I helped him to understand where he was naturally gifted and what he could do that other people couldn't do. And, for him, one of his was prestige, high bar of excellence. And the other one was trust. And he was somebody who could create stability in the middle of chaotic situations. And he had a high bar of excellence. So he could be trusted to do really great stuff. And so here's what I recommended. I said, dude, you have an interview. He said, I do have an interview. So okay, I want you to get your resume together, but I want you to staple this thing to your resume. And when you go in, I want you to make sure that they see that. And so he did. He went in and he said, well, I'm educated here. I've got my formal education there. And here is what I'm naturally gifted at. Here's where I excel. And the person looked over and said, wow, Well, we're looking for this kind of stuff. Ooh, I love this. Wow. And they had a second appointment. And all the meantime, Dave is thinking, I gotta keep getting this stuff out there because I don't know who's going to hire me. And so he sent his resume and his fascination profile out to 7 or 8 others. And after the third appointment, they hired him. Oh my God, they hired him. And he said, Scott, I'm making more money than I made at my old company. This is great. I love this. I'm blown away. And he worked there, a couple of weeks, but some of those other resumes caught some attention. He got 5 interview phone calls. And out of that 5, he got to take his pick at the one that he wanted. And after 3 weeks, he left that first company, went to another company that offered him a better environment and more money. And he's happier than he's ever been in his life because he's working where he wants to be working. And he tells everybody, Scott Carley, that profile is what made all the difference in me getting hired in my dream job. And it wasn't me. It was a profile. The profile did 2 things. Number one, it helped him to understand where he was naturally gifted. And it helped his employers to understand what he was bringing to the table. That's huge. When my daughter graduated from college and she had her degree in engineering, that was a pretty big deal. She's pretty stoked. And she said, I asked her, I said, well, babe, how you doing? You feeling good about it? Oh, yes. I am an engineer. I have all this education and I know exactly what to do. And people are going to hire me because I'm an engineer. And I said, okay. So they're going to hire you because you're an engineer, sort of. But one of the big things that's going to make the difference for you, sweetheart, is your ability to get along with people and know what you bring to the table outside of being an engineer. And in her first job, she learned that. In her second job, she took advantage of that. And that's why she's where she is today.